Alright, so I was born and brought up in a nuclear family. My father's parents had passed away much before my parents got married. My mom lost her mother when I was just 1, and the only grandparent that I saw was my mom's father, who visited us once in a while. So I didn't know what it was to live with older persons. Then I got married at the age of 23, and my husband lived with his parents and 2 older aunts. So I moved in with a family, which had 4 older persons. My mother-in-law, who served food and love to the family. My father-in-law, who claimed that he was a young heart trapped in old body. One of the older aunts who was retired for over 18 years, and another older aunt who was deaf and dumb. So to this family, I got introduced to an ocean of older persons. There was a family doctor, Dr. Riker, the jolliest person I have seen ever, and he practiced for right until his late 70s. And my mother-in-law's sister, who was again a doctor, Dr. Ratan Naik, who practiced well into her 80s and also published a book at the age of 90. My own father, who has been conferred the Jnanpith Award, the highest literary award in India, and he got it at the age of 78. He continues to write very relevant topics. I also got to see a lot of older persons who suffered from dementia and depression, and the differences between people really intrigued me. So one day I remember, I was looking, my mother-in-law was watching television. She was actually waiting for one of her favorite programs to start. And I looked at her and I had a very discomforting thought. So, is this how I will turn old? Is this what I will do when I become old? And that, probably sowed a seed of interest in older persons, interest in research in older persons. So a few years down the line, I realized I wanted to study older persons. I registered for PhD and I studied subjective well-being of older persons. So basically what I did was study subjective well-being is an evaluation of your life in your own way. So that's what I studied. Now research in Indian population has shown below average scores on happiness. But my research study found that people, the sample that I studied, were pretty content, pretty happy in their life. They had scores average and above average. Now some interesting findings. People who had education below 10 standard and those who did not have grandchildren, these 2 factors contributed negatively to subjective well-being. Which means that these people had lower subjective well-being. And those who were a part of some groups, membership to some group, whatever group it may be, formal group and informal group, religious, social, cultural, whatever group, and those who did not suffer from any ailments, these 2 factors positively contributed to subjective well-being. Now, where does my PhD take me? So I'm very fortunate to be teaching in Chogle College, and being an autonomous institute, it allows us to offer courses that we want to. So I have drafted the syllabus for gerontology, which is study of older persons. Now I must tell you that it's not easy to get youngsters interested in this field. So we try different pedagogical methods. One of it is taking them out and let them explore the field. So we took them to Kuj. Now you know that Kuj runs a senior therapy center, and they do a lot of work, wonderful work with older persons. We took them to BN Melwani's recreational center, and it's amazing to see older persons dancing, doing yoga. They're full of energy out there. We also hosted discussion forum. Now it's actually an annual thing in Chogle College. This year's theme was Aging India. And so we had panelists who came and expressed their views on this, and then from there there's an open discussion that goes on. To my contact with Dr. Amit Das, We also got a chance to visit Memory Cafe at Benaulim. Now this is a place, they were celebrating Valentine's Day here. They actually have, ever since COVID, they meet every week over Zoom, and then once a month they meet in physical mode, and they do a lot of activities which requires jogging of your brain, and it tells you how important it is to start early. We also have places like Sanjeevan, or you have Sneha Mandir, which ordinarily you would see these places as old age homes, but they talk about how important it is to look into living arrangements of older persons, because it's not always possible to take care of older persons at home. Since July 2022, I started publishing my articles in Kokni magazine, Zag, Navi Zag Goikarang, and it's titled Jarashastra Vruttopnishad. Basically, this is about gerontology in Konkani. I also recently did a research, I actually presented a paper on technology and happiness in older persons. Very interesting findings there, but what was more interesting was the interactions that I had with older persons while collecting my data. Very engaging. Ordinarily something that would take about 20 minutes took me more than 45 minutes, but there's so much to learn from them. In 2001, a study by Patel and Prince in Goa revealed that dementia was seen as a normal part of aging, and as such, medical care was not deemed necessary. There were also growing incidences of abuse and neglect of the elderly within the family. These findings make us sensitive to the needs of older persons. Knowing you are loved and wanted by your family is an important contributor to satisfaction in old age. I care for older people in my house. One lesson that I learned from them is to invest in relationships when you don't need to depend on them. Thank you.